It's a wonderful trip. So basically, I'm going to give you an overview of my trip to South Korea for an implant. International Implant Symposium was the official name for it. Now, my only other big trip that I was ever on was many years ago skiing with a doctor's group. We went to France for one night and then went to Italy for skiing for 4 days. And that's where I broke my right arm. And that's where I got to find out who my friends were because I had doctors work for me while I was in a cast. So what you're seeing here is the inside of an Airbus 380. Airbus 380, this is a double-decker. This is a big ass plane. Oh my God. When you go to the airport, they've got 2 jetways to load, the upper and lower. And actually they have 3 on the lower because you have a way economy, you have a business class, and then you have a whole jetway for first class. So you get your little TV in front of you and you get games, TV, movies, all sorts of stuff that you can play for 13 hours and 20 minutes, which is your flight. Now the cool thing, and I was thinking about that, oh God, 13 hours. It was good. The seats were wonderful. There was a lot of leg room. This is Korean Air. I would fly it again in a heartbeat. Wonderful. The people take care of you. The food was great. It worked really, really well. Here, planning ahead. You're going to have to sleep sometime. Okay? These pillows right here, you know the neck pillows that you see people have? Those are really soft. And what does your neck do? Flink. And you get a stiff neck. Well, these are a little thicker. They've got this extra little bolster up there that holds your neck in place. And you can actually sleep. And you wake up refreshed. It also may be the Xanax and the free scotch and everything else that went along with it, but you wake up feeling good. So, and this is for Bob. Bob has a pair of shoes that we tease him about that look just like, they look like a baseball. And he only wears them every so often. And so when I saw this guy standing out in the alley with this, I thought, you know, I had to take that just for Bob. This is on our tour. We went to the Korean Cultural Center where we learned the history of Korea and all the little things that have gone on, and the big things that have gone on in Korea and how it's changed and how a lot of the cultural norms are still in place. Like, it is a very masculine dominated society that women do not get to do very much. They do not try to do very much. And most are not happy. But the older generation is like, you know, this is the way it is. So this was a near reenactment of our wedding picture, which was in a rose garden. Here is the true reenactment of our wedding picture when I picked her up at our wedding. Our first meal that night, we had, this is the gochujang sauce. It's a very spicy chili sauce, but it tastes wonderful. This is, you've got your rice noodles, you've got plain rice, you've got cut up cabbage, you've got chicken, you've got your miso soup. This was more of a Japanese meal, surprisingly, in Korea. And you've got a fried fish. But the big thing was the chopsticks. These were the most god-awful chopsticks I've ever, they were metal. I could not use these to save my life. They kept slipping all over the place. And I'm usually pretty good with chopsticks. This, they've got a tower. It was a TV antenna communications tower in the middle of Seoul. It's on the highest mountain, and this makes it the highest point. So you walk all the way around. As you see in the background, I want to show this. This is what you see in Seoul. 30 million people in Seoul. Unbelievable.
30?
Bob says there's only 34 million people in California, the whole state. This is 30 million people in one city, which is almost all the population of South Korea. But this is how it all is. Just building on building on building on building. And, you know, these are 30, 40, 50-story apartment buildings. That's all they are. And every so often you'll get tree views. And those are the most precious apartments to get hold of. And people hang on to those through families.
Wow.
Once you get one of those apartments that backs up to a park or trees, you hang on to it. You do not get rid of that. Our first meal with the group, this is a floating island, or that doesn't quite make sense, redundant, but this is a man-made island that they built this building on, and it's used just for special occasions. It's very expensive, very elaborate, and this is the gentleman, Dr. Wang, who invented this revolutionary implant design, and I'll be taking another course with him in 2 weeks up in Orange County. He's very personable. We had this huge lecture which surprisingly very few people attended. If you took everybody that attended, we probably would have filled this much. But here's one, this is one section. They had another section same size, and then they had another section empty. Completely empty. Inside, I mean, this place was this place was massive that we had our seminar at. Now this is the new implant. What makes it new is that the body itself is smaller, which makes the fins, these parts, larger, which they incorporate and engage the bone faster. So the big thing with this is it stabilizes the implant almost immediately. If you have hard to medium bone, you're golden. You don't have to wait. You put the implant in, you can take your impression, you can put the crown on. So this is truly revolutionary. These are the 3 American speakers that are all good friends of mine, and they gave excellent lectures at the symposium. We're going to flip through a whole bunch of medical stuff to this one right here, and I'm going to give you just part of it. This little device here spreads bone. This is great. This is absolutely wonderful. So it's something that it's revolutionized how dentistry can be done and how this can help people. So just by tapping it in, it's spreading bone instead of making the hole bigger and bigger and bigger, which gives you less bone to work with. You're taking that bone and you're actually spreading it out, and it stays together. And this is a tapping device that goes inside the bone. So you're putting threads in. Am I losing some people here? Okay.
Marathon man.
Yeah.
It's a horror story.
Yeah. Is it safe?
Is it safe? Oh.
Yeah, it's very safe.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. You bunch of lazies. We'll
Let's keep it black and white. Yeah.
Okay. So there's an old style. This is what we want to try to get away from. This is an old style partial indenture. Okay. It's the upper is a denture because there are no teeth present in the person's head. The lower is a partial because they've got teeth here and teeth here. Now notice these things here, those are springs. That's how it kept in your mouth. Okay? George Washington had something close to this. So we're not going to do things like that. And since this is our lunch that we had, this is I found out later each lunch was $100.
Thought
Why
that
was
the
it
mouth
$100?
still.
Because you had chicken, you had tuna, you had salmon, you had sea bass, you had the sashimi and octopus and another fish. And I was special. I checked this out. I was really special because over here you had clam soup, right? You've had clams, right? Yeah. It's kind of like a miso soup with clams. Well, what made this so special for me? That little guy right there. In my clam soup, that little crab. I looked at that and I go, what the? And I looked to the person right. Nope, you don't got one. And on the left, you don't got one. And look behind, you don't got one. And I asked people all around me, did you get a crab? Nope. I got a crab. And it didn't taste anything bad. So I thought, my wife and I said, whatever's put in front of us, we're going to eat it. It won't kill us. It may make us sick, but it won't kill us. So I picked him up with my little chopsticks and ate him. And there he is, nestling between the shells of my clam. So the resort that we were at was up on a hill, and this place was huge. This is the Grand Hyatt Resort. This is a 5-star hotel resort. This is the top of the line hotel in Seoul. And this is just one of the pools out there, but again, you can see it overlooks the whole city, but it is surrounded by one of the most valuable assets that they have, trees. They love trees. Another view. So this water here started inside the hotel with a little trickle. And it came down, it got a little bigger, and it came down, and it got a little bigger, and came down, and went into this pool through those, and then down into this pool. So it was just, and they had beer kegs. They had 2 beer taps on either side of the pool. You walk up, crack open one, and they had I believe they had a wine bar too. This is inside the hotel. It is massive. It is gorgeous. It is probably the most understated luxury I've ever seen in a hotel. I mean, you go in places and they're gaudy. You go to Vegas. It's just gaudy, silver lights, all the stuff, and it's like, yeah, this is nice. But you went into this place. It was quiet. It was sedate. They had a live band playing off to the side, and everything you touched was fine. The way it was polished, the way it was laid out, the flower arrangements that they had. The carpet was thick. I mean, you step on it, and it just kind of like rolls around. It's so thick. It feels like a Persian rug running through the whole place. We went to a Korean barbecue. So we had big pork steak and then bacon. And then with Korean barbecue, and this is the suction. When they throw your meat on, they drop this down so it sucks up all the smoke. So the place doesn't get smoky. And then you have all your side dishes that go along with it. And then you have the soju. Soju is their national alcohol. I tried several of their national beers, didn't like them at all. The soju tastes like a watered down vodka. It has that potatoey vodka taste, but they sell it out of vending machines. I mean, and soju, it's like a national pastime, seems to be, when they go out to dinner. It's like soju and beer. And you're slamming the soju, you're slamming the beer, and then you mix the two, and they just all night long. And then it's like, well, how many bottles did you drink? That's like the big question people were asking. But the meal there was wonderful. Now, going back to the trees, this is a beautiful Japanese maple, and this picture does not do it justice. It was vibrant, fire red. And it's something that we just, my wife and I have tried to grow in our yards and just did not do well. So, what did I really enjoy other than the lecture? I enjoyed the markets. Where we were was right across the street from this huge market. Now, this is a market that my wife's friend who lives in Seoul took us to. This is her market. This is like her Ralph's and her Target all in one. And everything, when you look at the colors of the foods, everything is so fresh. I mean, they had bananas laid out there that did not have a spot of brown on them. I mean, I can't even find that at Vons, even in the organic bananas. It looked so good, and the meats that they had were tremendous. And you can see how wide it is. I will show you later. It's like the markets are all dependent upon the size of the walkway or driveway. You have the high-end markets, well, those are 35, 40 feet wide. And then you got buildings on either side with trees. And then you got the other market stalls where they get a little narrower. And then they got this, and then they got a little narrow, and then they got one that's, well, I'll show you. So, fish all over the place. Half of them, 3/4 of them, I did not know what the hell they were. But they all look good. No smell. I mean, it was wonderful. And so you got fish, you've got fruit, you've got all your spices, seaweed, more spices, octopus, cuttlefish, squid.
Wow.
And then you've got a section for clothes, and you know, so it's, you walk through here and you've got almost everything you need. And the cherries, oh my Lord, I wanted to buy cherries so bad. But they keep everything so clean, that's like, okay, so what am I gonna do with the pits? I didn't know, you don't see any garbage cans, but they've gotta be around someplace, I just never saw them. Now, Robin and I were on a quest for gifts for people. So, her mother is an artist, and she does a type of Japanese plant printing called genkai. She's working into Japanese and Chinese paintbrush techniques. So she wanted a certain type of paintbrush made out of wolf hair. So you can see how big some of these brushes are and how long. I mean, these things, you'd be working on a piece of rice paper that has got to be huge to use something this long. And to use something this big, you're dipping it in a paint bucket and then doing your kanji, your letters. The colors were just amazing. I mean, this is all paper products. And the hand-painted fans that they had, this is all paper. Every color you could think of. And then every color that now has a pattern in it. And then every color that has the pattern has another variation of it. And they just had stacks and stacks. It's like, what can you do with all this paper? But we saw many shops like this. And a little better picture on all the brushes. Now this is a steer horn that they used for that. So again, in the art area, I found this and said, honey, look, a horse. So this was at night. This is how, it looks kind of like Tokyo. I mean, it's all lit up, and you can see the streets are a little narrower. This is the wall, one of the walls of the Emperor's Wall that surrounded Seoul at the time. That's all lit up. And they have a north, south, east, west of Seoul. Our hotel was right here. Big highway, you had to go underneath to get to the other side. This whole thing, come on. Underground shopping center. And it's 1, 2, 3 blocks underground. And if that wasn't enough, there's another underground shopping center. And it's just amazing. Levels. You just go on and on about what the next one will be. Come on. So when you're looking at this picture, you say, yeah, that's nice. Focus here.
Wow.
That's a lot of frickin' people. And this was on a Monday. And it was just jammed back there. So there's more I could show you. Well, we've got other speakers tonight, so I'd like to end with this picture of my lovely bride, Robin. We had such a good time there, and if you ever get a chance to go to Seoul, please do. It's a great place, and have a wonderful time.